Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's video. Our question is from MakeTimeForTravel.llc on Instagram. What's up, Kathy? What's up, Kathy? She's here. I'm at her house. Okay. So she says, how can a highly paid executive pivot from corporate to a creative, high income career? I feel like, especially if you're a Black woman, you know a friend, a daughter, a neighbor, someone who is working in a corporate career that, yeah, they're secure, and a lot of times we grow up thinking that security is the ultimate goal, and once we reach that, everything else we should just be okay and settle for. But security cannot be the only thing. And I got to a point where I realized, what is the actual price of my peace and what's the cost of my fulfillment? Because for every day that I clock in and work on someone else's dream, I'm basically burying my own. And I want to present this video where it's not so much an and or either or. I want you to know that there are options to stay in a stable career if you still desire long-term security or whatever benefits that you have and you don't want to lose it. You might have kids, a family, other dependents that you're taking care of. I don't want you to feel like chasing a creative career has to be a reckless move. So, for those of you, especially women, who have climbed the corporate ladder. You've done all the right things, you've checked all the boxes, and now you go to bed every night with this sense of emptiness, this void of, is this all there is to life? Did I do everything right? Did I miss my boat or my window? Is this is this it? You know? So I want this video to really talk about that. So pivoting without starting over, I want number one for you to write down a number. What is the cost of security? What is the cost of security? And whatever cost that is the number that you want to feel like you have saved or put away as like an emergency. This is for those that are wanting to go all in. What would it take for you to be able to not worry about the finances if you gave your creative pursuit your all? Okay. And I often think as well that there is a deeply embedded fear. Some of us stay in corporate careers because we're afraid of the judgment and criticism that other people might have if we leave. We're afraid of no longer having a sense of, um, we get a lot of like, what's the word? Our identity is shaped by what we do and how much we earn. So if someone takes that away from you and you have this period of where you have a loss of identity and you're in between, that's deeply confronting. So I want to recognize and honor that some of you are staying trapped in golden handcuffs because you don't know who you are without that corporate career, without that title, without that fancy corner office. And it's a deeply confronting and humbling journey to relearn and rediscover who you are, what you like, and what your actual value is. Because no one can tell you what you're worth except yourself. Your boss or your employer, they are literally paying you the cost for you to just be happy. I think it was Kevin Hart, maybe, where he said a job means just over broke. You're literally making just enough to not be broke, but nothing is actually guaranteed and secure. So let's talk about uh, what it would look like to start your pivot. So let's say you're staying in your, position because you want to have that security. The first thing I recommend is launching a pocket product. And a pocket product is just something that people can access digitally from their pocket, literally from their phone. This doesn't have to be something super elaborate or thorough or comprehensive, but more than likely, if you have climbed the corporate ladder, you have transferable skills. Ultimately, people are paying you for your skill set and for your knowledge and your expertise. So if you know how to lead and manage a team, if you know how to put together presentations, if you know how to organize data, if you research really well, if you manage multiple projects across multiple departments, like there's these random things that you do on a day-to-day basis and your employer pays you for it and so you take it for granted because you think, oh, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's not hard. Therefore, it's not that valuable. but I never want you to confuse what you're paid for something and its actual value of it. Because someone who has the skill of, I'm trying to think of an example that applies. Someone that has the skill of building a website and they've been doing it for decades, they might not think much of it. But for the person that is trying to finally have an online presence, that website skill is worth tens of thousands of dollars to them because they all they know is they don't know how to build a website. So whatever skill you have that you are downplaying, understand that someone else is paying literally thousands of dollars to have access or proximity to whatever it is that you do in your sleep. Okay. So, a pocket product. This is a template. This is a download. This is a guide. This could be 10 pages. A digital product was my very first way of getting an idea of the income opportunity and leverage that existed on the internet. It was about 13 years ago. I self-published my first like digital product, which was an ebook. And I actually, because I didn't know if it would sell, I did pre-orders. I didn't trust myself to like actually sell, and I didn't think my audience would want to buy anything from me. Because up until that point, I was giving out free travel information and free travel tips. I was like the budget broke traveler and backpacker. So I figured that everyone else is working serious jobs. They probably don't need to learn my budgeting tips. And so for me, booking a cross-country three-part ferry bus train system to get from Romania to France, for me, I did that in my sleep because I was like, this is what I do. I'm a travel blogger. I'm figuring it out. To someone else who's never been to Europe, to someone else who's never booked their own train ticket internationally, to someone else who struggles to navigate international uh, transportation, that skill of knowing where to book, what to pay is worth so much. It's so much value. So you have to remove yourself from the context of which you operate in because someone else that looks at your skill out of context would value it higher. So I priced my first digital product at $9.99. I literally thought it was so expensive. I was just like, if five people buy it, great. But in the pre-order weekend, I ended up making over $4,000. I was shook. This was my Facebook friends, college peers, strangers that I met during travel. But the fact that I had that many people see what I was building, and before it was even built, saying, yes, I want a copy in advance. And I remember being in Montenegro, actually, I was in a hostel. Mind you, I was in a hostel that I was volunteering in exchange for like a food and bed because I couldn't really afford on a nightly basis to pay for that myself. So I'm struggling to build my personal brand, just doing as much as I can on a day-to-day basis, working reception just so I can have a bed to sleep at night. And so I remember seeing all these sales coming in, and I go up to the attic where I was staying, and I just burst out in tears. And funny enough, I actually went on Facebook Live and I just started thanking people because I was so overwhelmed with gratitude. But also, your girl was not eating every day. So I was just happy to be able to buy myself some food moving forward. And what I also did is there was a conference that I wanted to go to in Bangkok, but I couldn't afford to fly myself there. At the time, I had a brand that I was going to work with, and they were going to fly me to Asia. And last minute, they pulled out. And so I was kind of like stuck. I had nothing coming up. I didn't know where to go and what to do. And yeah, so long story short, I flew myself out to Bangkok, went to that travel conference, ended up getting a speaking engagement from there, and then got an Airbnb that was like $20 a night. And in 3 weeks, I cranked out my first digital product, which was an ebook called From Excuses to Excursions: How I Started Traveling the World. And that was like my first meal ticket into understanding leverage and opportunity and what my actual value is. So, whatever pocket product that you can think of for yourself, maybe it's a curiosity or it's a passion or it's something that you do that you're just interested in on the side. This doesn't have to be so much related to your corporate career, but it could be something that you're naturally skilled at. Okay. Second, this is something that I actually want you to do at your work. I want you to volunteer to teach or lead a workshop. So when you take initiative and you position yourself as someone who is capable of leading a room, or organizing a talk or giving a speech, there's a whole path for speaking engagements that you can make on the side. I actually have a client where we started working together 2 years ago. They were charging, I mean, they were getting booked maybe once or twice a year and charging like a couple $100s for speaking engagements for other corporations. Now, this woman is powerful. She works a powerful career. She has a powerful presence, but because she wasn't an official public speaker, she never thought that it was something that you could charge for. So I said, listen here, your new rate is 5,000. Anyone that comes to you that wants you to speak, you are now charging 5,000. And what I also want you to do is put together a media kit and like a one sheet, a speaker's one sheet. It's going to give you like your headshot, your bio, the kind of talks that you can give so that they can kind of choose from your menu, like you have a selection. And I want you to actively pitch yourself. And so she went from doing two talks a year at like $100 to $200 to now doing like three talks a quarter at 5,000 or more. Okay. And one person even licensed her talk. Like the talk was so good, they asked to license the proprietary framework that she built and gave out in the talk. And so she was able to get a licensing deal too. So earning an extra 30 to 50K on the side while keeping her corporate career just because she recognized that she has a voice that is valuable and that she could also like, pimp on the side. Not really. Okay, so that's number two, teaching a workshop internally and seeing what other opportunities it could yield you. Um, and then three, I think this is actually the most important and powerful skill that you can do, Kathy, for whoever this is. Build a personal brand. Building a personal brand is the highest leverage opportunity that you can create for yourself. It is a gift that keeps on giving. It is something that you have 100% control over, and there is no income cap. There is no way that I could have determined that when I put my first blog on the internet in 2001, like there is no way I would say, okay, all these years later, 25 years later, that I would be able to just the doors that it's open. When I think about some of the coolest opportunities, GoPro, they're one of my favorite sponsors. To this day, they've probably given me 12 or 13 cameras. Every time it was released, they would just send me, hey, Glow, new cameras out. Where do we send it? And what was even cooler about that is I got to give to some of my creator friends that were starting their brands. I got to say, hey, I have an extra, like, yeah, I have an extra. That's right, for the C Academy. Yeah. See, it was so cool. Like it's such a blessing because I got to bless other people. And yeah, I just think about Jade Mountain and St. Lucia. Like that was, I mean, that was like a $40,000 collaboration. There's no way I could have said, I'm going to have this romantic solo vacation for my birthday and this luxurious accommodation with these, there's no walls in the hotel rooms. It is the most, I think to this day, my favorite hotel I've ever stayed at. For them to say, oh, you're celebrating your 32nd birthday, we want to sponsor it. Like, how long do you want to stay? Oh, a week? Cool. Here's our suite that costs $10,000 a night. You get to stay here for free. Oh, what activities? We'll organize it for you. Things like that. When you build a personal brand, it is obnoxious the type of things that will be thrown at you. The celebrities that want to work with you, the celebrities that want to partner with you, the celebrities that want to borrow your audience, the stages that you get to speak on. It's really you'd be surprised, like the doors that can open from you putting yourself out there on the internet and building a personal brand. And I want to say, let yourself be cringe because your coworkers, they might follow you, they might stalk you, they might judge you, especially if you're still clocking into work. And they'll be like, well, who does she think she is? Like, what is she, what is Kathy doing over here? Like, and I want you to just recognize that people don't envy your people aren't criticizing the fact that you are pivoting and growing. They are envious of the fact that they are not. So a lot of what people say about you are the things that they hate about themselves. So understand that you won't have I don't want to say you won't have many people at your current level that will understand where you are trying to go. And I always use this elevator analogy where if you're in the lobby and you're meeting up with your friends and you all are getting on the elevator and you have already determined I'm going to the penthouse and your friend is going to level 7. When level 7 comes, you don't look at them crazy like, girl, you can go so much higher. You say, oh no, this is where you've decided to stop. And when they're getting off, they don't say, hello, like, why are you still on? They recognize like, oh, she's still going. Good for her. And you need to find those elevator friends that recognize they might not desire to go where you want to go in life, but they can appreciate that you're still on your journey. And my favorite people, whether they're friends or people I look up to and admire online, are the ones that allow themselves to evolve, to pivot, to grow, to shapeshift, and to do what people don't expect of them. Because I think it's the most interesting life when you don't no one can predict what's coming next. And you have so many more lives ahead of you where you get to determine, you know what scene do I want to write in this season? Like what's the plot for this year? How am I going to make this show of my life something worth watching? And it's a beautiful thing. So I hope this helps. And ultimately, um, yeah, ultimately, there is no way to lose. So, number one, build out a pocket guide. You do not have to quit your corporate career for this, but I want you to be able to test, am I capable of having an idea and building it, like literally bringing it to life so it's something tangible, and then putting a price on it and marketing it to the world. You could sell it on Etsy, you could sell it on Instagram, you could sell it on LinkedIn. But understand that the internet has democratized access and marketing for everyone. Like it's fair game. We no longer need to be able to, I don't know, buy a bunch of ads in the newspaper or spend tens of thousands of dollars on a TV spot. Like we can literally put something on the internet, on social media, which is free for everyone. If you find yourself complaining about, oh my gosh, no one sees my posts and if you follow people that complain constantly, you got to mute those accounts because if you don't recognize the opportunity that social media affords every single person, it's a shame. It really is because Instagram hasn't sent me a single invoice and yet I've made millions of dollars marketing my business. I owe Instagram. Let me tell you this. I owe Instagram a lot of money. They have made it possible for me to build a brand, travel the world, and make as much money as I want. And they have not sent me a single invoice. I would be crazy to get on that platform and complain that it's not going my way. If I do, I should go build my own app, right? I think we have to check our entitlement. There really is so much opportunity on the internet, and I want you to recognize that. Okay, so pocket product. Number two, internally lead a workshop. If you can volunteer to do something in your corporate space just to get comfortable building the muscle of public speaking, asking your department what other speaking opportunities are available, whether in the organization or within the industry in your city, like see what's out there and put yourself out there. And then number three, building a personal brand. Block your coworkers if you have to, but put yourself online and maybe it's just starting to share the BTS of what it's like to work at Google, what it's like, well, maybe Google has policies against that, but what it's like to be a nurse practitioner. I don't know. But there are people every day that want to see the ins and outs of certain lifestyles and certain careers. So you just never know. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this. And for those that are new, be sure to like and subscribe. I will be posting a daily free coaching video every day for a year. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat or in the comments, and I would love to make a video about it. And if you would like a digital product to go along with these videos, be sure to check out the link in the description, mycreativereset.com. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.